And welcome into a Monday edition Thanksgiving week of the Backstage Pass. And yeah, this is our only show this week. So glad we could actually make this happen and bring it to you here. Presented by our good friends over at MitchMacs.com, also Bangtail Whiskey, and of course, our good friends over at Hank Jr. Productions. Appreciate all the support there from our sponsors. And of course, some more good things coming up here over the next few weeks. There'll be 3 full weeks of shows after the holidays. Going to take some time, Jeff and I, to eat the turkey, the dressing, the stuffing, cranberry, right, Jeff? Everything out there to enjoy it. And pleased to welcome in our guest this week and just a fantastic album out called Mad 20s, which is available across all the digital platforms. Austin native, and of course, she's done a little Americana, and it's got a blending sound of everything you could think of out there, jazz and folk and everything. Taylor Ray joins us here on the show. How's it going, Taylor?
It's going great. Thanks so much for having me.
We appreciate you being with us, no doubt. And I guess let's start right there because I love the story. Santa Cruz in California and making your way down to Austin, which anybody knows anything about Austin, the first thing you think about is good barbecue, good food, and then 6th Street. A lot of great entertainment down there. No stranger to music. Kind of tell your story of growing up in California and making your way down to Austin, Texas.
Yeah, so I grew up in Santa Cruz, which is a coastal town that's where the redwoods meet the sea. And that's where I got started in music. It's a small town, but there's a really awesome local music scene there. Just like grew up doing theater and started playing shows, in high school. Always was writing songs. Made the move to LA after high school to go to music school there. LA is just really not my town, not my scene. So got out of there as fast as possible after 4 long, hard years. And then, spent a couple more years in Santa Cruz before moving out to Austin. Santa Cruz is small and, again, great music scene, but it's small. So there's not a whole lot of room for growth. I've always been so infatuated with Austin and just Texas in general for some reason, ever since I was a kid. And, moved out here when I was 24, 27 now. And it was the best decision ever. Such, like you said, great music scene. 6th Street was the first place I went when I came out here, and I was just blown away by all the local talent. That's what I love most about Austin is the local music scene here. It's less industry based than Nashville or LA. So that's what I really like about it here. Yeah.
Well, and when you said theater, that made a lot more sense to me when I listened to your music. Not because it's theatrical in the sense of the way Meatloaf was theatrical,
right,
or anything like that. But the storytelling part of what you do with your songwriting, and then the Austin element, there's so much more embracing of mixing musical elements, which is such a big part of your song, of your music, which I'm sure we'll get into as we pick these things apart, because a lot of times people want to know what you were influenced by. And honestly, I'm more kind of curious as to what you weren't influenced by, because it seems like so many things touch in your thing. And Austin is so much more willing to just kind of say, sure, stir it in. Let's see what it does. So makes a lot of sense to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's so many different kinds of music here. It's super open to, because you think of Texas and obviously you think of country, outlaw country, alt country, that kind of stuff. But Austin is just like full of everything. I've seen some amazing jazz and soul and Motown, funk, and, so many cool bands here. Yeah, I don't ever try and box myself into one genre. I feel like that really limits where your songwriting can go. And so it's been a really challenging part of my career because it's hard to market and it's hard to, fit into any box. We kind of go under the Americana umbrella, but there's a lot on there. And influence wise, what I wasn't influenced by, that's hard. I can find something I like in every genre.
Right.
And I'm a phase person, so I go through like heavy phases. And I think I've probably been in a phase with every genre at least once in my life, including like metal and hip hop and rap and everything that doesn't sound like my music, obviously. but mostly was influenced by female singer-songwriters, from Carole King to Bonnie Raitt, Nora Jones, Sheryl Crow, Grace Potter. Those would probably be the top ones.
Yeah.
I know you traveled a lot of miles, just some big stages out in California, and of course, just different places, and open for some great artists. Talk about just that experience. And I know one of them was Brandy Clark, I believe, and you've done some Christian Bush. I mean, no doubt about that too, that you've gotten to share the stage with. What have you learned? What have you kind of picked up? A lot of people say it's like going back to school and then bringing a little bit what they do from their show into your show, and then kind of just going out there entertaining people. What's it like taking the stage and opening for some of those names?
Really fun. And yeah, there's so much to be learned. It's funny that you mentioned Brandy and Christian, because those were probably my top two experiences, just meeting them and spending a little bit of time. Brandy Clark just blows me away with her storytelling and her songwriting. I hadn't really listened to too much of her music before opening up for her. And then after, I just kind of became infatuated with how well she can tell a story. And on stage, just she's so comfortable and she's hilarious and just like natural with the audience. And I was definitely like taking mental notes on that, because that's, the music part always comes easy for me, but the interacting, it can be challenging without a lot of experience. Same with Christian Bush, just so much talent, and the songwriting, and just a cool guy, It's kind of nice to break down that barrier when you open up for acts that you've been listening to for a while, because you're just like, oh, they're not taking it as seriously as like everybody else is in the audience. And that's what makes them such a good natural performer. So there's just this relaxed way about both of them that I definitely took a lot from.
Christian, the more you kind of talk about your career, it makes more sense to me. But Christian's a friend. I worked with Christian some along the way, and just wondering what you have been able to pull from him musically. A lot of people don't realize that before he did his own things and before he did Sugarland, he was doing Billy Pilgrim, which was the rock thing. He's recently done a theater thing of his own. I haven't seen it, but I know he's developed some things. Would not have musically connected you to him, but I would have in a lot of ways with Sarah Bareilles, who again is that broad and that expansive. Is that something that you knew you were already playing, or were you always coloring with those different colors even when you were doing your stuff in school?
Yeah, so in high school I was very much under the folk umbrella. My songs were slow and sad. And when I got to school, I don't know what changed. I think I started working with a guitarist that was like very much into Southern rock. And so we were covering a lot of Allman Brothers and just like jamming on Zeppelin and Janis Joplin and stuff. So it took a very rock turn, and my music from those times is even way harder than what it is now. So again, with the phases thing, it's up until this point, I've like gone through many different genres. After the Southern rock, it went full jazz. I started learning jazz chords and like really wanted to be more like loungy, still singer-songwriter, but just have, more of that jazz influence. And so now at 27, and with this album, these songs I started writing all the way back. The oldest one on it here is when I was 19. And so it's kind of a journey through the 20s. And I think that's why you see such a expansive range of the genres. And now what I'm writing, I would say it picks from a little bit of all of them. My new songs are still like very story based. But in terms of genre, it's hard to categorize.
Well, I like the title of that album too. It just kind of fits everything which you talk about and sum it up. Mad 20s is out there across all the digital platforms. Love the songs on there. So time of the program, we get to do Taylor's to hear a little bit of that music and get you to play for us. And of course, we'll have a word from Bangtail Whiskey, and of course, come back and talk a little bit about the sponsors and some of the things coming up over the next few weeks here on the show. So, Taylor, it's all yours. And what are we going to hear first?
Cool. I think I'm going to do Home on the Road.
Okay.
Because this is the radio single.
Right.
This was one we actually last minute decided to record. We were already in the studio recording the record, and we made a call, and my sponsor was like, I want you guys to do Home on the Road. So I just told the band, I played it for them. We didn't have any charts written out or anything. And this is the one that became the single. So that was a really good choice. This one's called Home on the Road.
So close and living with our heads down low, hoping we can find a little bit of ourselves if the rubber meets the road. You got a prime 79 black Chevy step in, and I only got one thing on my mind, and we don't need no plan. So fire it up, breathe it in slow, gotta do it now before we get old. Shake down your salty spirit, the one I used to know. Let your dreaming mind free your wandering soul. And we got a whole lot more to live for. In this town, let's put the old van into drive and go. I'm making home on the road. It's 104 on the side of 85 at a rest stop. A heat gauge red line, and I got one thought to pass the time. It ain't so great, but it could be worse. So we crack a couple cold ones to lift the curse. When all we gotta cheers to is being alive. We may be too broke now to cross the state line. But when you got nowhere to be, you can't make a bad timing. So shake down your salty spirit, the one I used to know. Let your dreaming mind free your wandering soul. And we got a whole lot more to live for. In this town, let's put the old van into drive and go. Making home on the road. Making home on the road. Shake down your salty spirit, the one I used to know. Let your leaving mind free your wandering soul. And we got a whole lot more to live for. In this town, let's put the old van into drive and go. Make it home on the road. Making home on the road. Making home on the road. Yeah. Making home on the road.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass. And we're doing that today with our show here, Taylor Ray on the Backstage Pass. You can present it by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey. Check them out on the Easy Liquor app or at easyliquor.com. Also, MitchMacs.com. Get you some of that Backstage Pass merchandise for the holidays. We'll be doing a little Black Friday sale coming up here in a few weeks. And of course, Hank Jr. Productions out there. They specialize in all good things, photography, videography. And of course, if you want a moment that you can keep, contact a good friend Henry over there or visit hankjrproductions.com. Back here with Jeff McMahon, Taylor Ray, kind enough to join us here. Happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays to everybody out there too. It's going to be a great week. And looking forward to that football, Jeff, and the turkey on Thursday. That's something we always do here for the Morrell household. So I'm excited to watch the Cowboys play.
I'm sure you do.
Las Vegas Raiders. It'll be fun this week to do that. I love the album, and I can just sit and listen to you sing all day. It's just a great voice, and I love Mad 20s is the current album out there across all the digital platforms. That was the latest single, Home on the Road. So you kind of told how it was born out there too, which I mean, great song on an album there too. But I'm going to go to one of my audience questions over here, and this is pretty cool because I get this question a lot from David, who tunes in with us, and he was asking a lot about the guitar that you have, and I'll put this up there so you can see it. All the way from England. He tunes in from England a lot, to show favorite out there. Tell me about the guitar that she's using. How important is the guitar to her when she's writing and performing? Tell us about that.
So this guitar is a Taylor guitar. It's the 712E 12 fret, so it has a bit of a shorter neck, which just makes for a slightly different sound. For such a small guitar, it has like a very deep, warm tone to it, which I love. And the headstock is kind of built like a classical guitar too, which is fun. So yeah, this is a 712E 12 fret. I love this guitar. It's my workhorse for sure. I feel the most comfortable performing on it. In terms of writing, I don't know if I necessarily need this guitar to write. I have tons of guitars on my wall. You can't see, but there's about 10 of them. And I switch off a lot. I love playing the electric. I have a Rickenbacker up there that I like to plug in and, normally write more soul kind of like darker soul songs on the Rickenbacker. I also love writing on the classical guitar, the nylon. It's just so easy to play. And when you're not really focusing on like how the guitar sounds, it's just, you can do it for hours. So yeah, but I love this Taylor. It's my baby, and it's at every show for sure.
I like that, no doubt. Hey, tell me about this. 2017 was a great year for you. Santa Cruz.
Hold up.
Go ahead.
I don't want to leave this song yet because
all right.
I totally dug this song, and for anybody that has lived on the road, my favorite line by far, hoping we can find a little bit of ourselves where the rubber meets the road, because we were talking earlier about having gone on the road this weekend, and I was like, yeah, it was like I left everything at home and I just felt more normal before we even played, just because you were out there traveling around. Love the song, but I wanted to ask actually about the record, the making of the record, because so many people now with laptops and things, they can fly parts around, they can move parts around. And this really feels like y'all cut it together.
Oh yeah.
I was listening to it, and even before the song starts, I'm feeling your keyboard player watching the guitar player as they're dancing between those licks. And I haven't gotten all the way through the record, full disclosure, but I will numerous times on my way back to Texas for the holidays. But it feels like you are very collaborative in putting these songs together, very evidently in this one, but I'm assuming all of them. Is that fair?
Yep. Yeah. So a couple things about that. Yeah. In the studio, we were all in one room. I overdubbed the vocals, but I was doing the scratch live. So there was that energy. But yeah, all the players, we pretty much got all these songs in 2 takes max, and we would choose 1 take. And if anything, the keyboard player would overdub. If he played the piano, he would just open up the organ or like earlier notes. And so most of these are live, and they definitely played off each other's energy, which is how I like to do records. Chris Stapleton does it that way. He just does like live. And you can just feel that energy, even with like some of the imperfections. It's honestly my favorite part of some of those records. The second thing is, The collaborative effort. Yeah, I don't go into the studio with too much of a vision because I try harder to choose the artists and musicians and creators that I respect what they do on their own. So much so that I want them to do what they're good at. And I think if we're all just focusing on what we're really good at, then we make like such a better product. And that comes in handy with when you're working with photographers or makeup artists. You know, they're like, oh, what's your vision? What do you want? You know, what colors do you want to go with? I'm like, what's your inspiration? I'm like, this is what the music sounds like. This is what I'm good at. So you know, can take that and do whatever you want with it.
Right.
And that always makes for the best result.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Well, it's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah,
So big
great.
fan.
I'm glad that comes across.
Hey, tell me about this, because always cool to get recognition in this industry, and people don't look for it. Just kind of, they find you out there when you have the talent that you have. 2017 big award there in Santa Cruz, Musician of the Year. When you got that news, tell us about the outlet that reached out to you, and of course the award, and how big that was for your early in your career.
Yeah. So there's an organization in Santa Cruz called Event Santa Cruz, and they run multiple events per month. They get hundreds and thousands of people out to their events every week, pretty much. And so every year they hold like a best of in Santa Cruz award show. And Matthew, who I'm really good friends with now, he runs Event Santa Cruz. He called me up, and he was making so many calls that day. It was so funny because he called me up. He's like, you've won Foodie of the Year, like Santa Cruz Foodie of the Year. And I was like, why? I was like, that makes no sense. And then like a couple hours later, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, you won Musician of the Year. So there was like kind of a hesitated excitement, but obviously I was incredibly honored. He rents out one of the coolest venues in Santa Cruz, pretty big venue called the Rio. And it's just this whole production. Everyone's kind of, it's like kind of black ties. So I got to wear like very fancy clothing, and I had to make a speech and play a song. And I would say, yeah, that was kind of the first big thing of my career, like the first big recognition. So that was a huge deal. That was like it's still one of my favorite memories for sure.
So what did that do for you then? Because a lot of your, you probably had some things before that, but at least from what I looked at, it looks like the majority of what you released came after that. So what did that do? Not so much professionally, reputation wise, but what did that do for you creatively, confidently, to go through that? I almost wonder if that didn't push you into releasing some things.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was a big source of motivation to do that, just because I had gotten so much recognition and there was like a credibility there. And so I think I did become more confident in knowing that there would be people that would listen to what I was going to release and come to the shows. And also just, just again, with the motivation, it's obviously important to have things out and released and music for people to listen to when you're booking shows.
Right.
And so that was a source of motivation as well. It's like, okay, well, I have this accolade, this Musician of the Year, and I also have this music now that came after that. And so that was incredibly helpful, booking shows and just, knowing my worth too. I would book a lot of my own shows, a lot of private parties and corporate events and weddings and stuff. And after that award, I felt like, okay, I'm a professional now, and I can, I know my worth. I know what I can charge now and feel comfortable doing that. So yeah, it was definitely a turning point for sure. Yeah.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like that would have just preceded the release of Morning Fade.
Yep.
Which I can imagine, Morning Fade is a pretty eclectic kind of song. And if you're sitting there going, okay, I've got this really cool song, but in the current musical landscape, this jazz pop mix with kind of these 70s piano hooks, you're probably wondering if you can put it out there. You win the award when you've been doing that song. Yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, I can put it out there because they dig it. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. No, it was definitely just, it started to check all the boxes. I'm like, okay, all right, this seems like the right path,
Right.
yeah, not knowing what people are going to like until that moment.
Yeah.
It was helpful for sure.
Well, there's a lot to like on the record, including I love one called 525, which is on there, Fixer Upper. There's some things that really kind of will catch a little bit of the different audience out there who like a little bit of Americana, that country kind of feel, or that throwback jazz to blues. So if you like a little bit of that, then an album is for you out there. Mad 20s from Taylor Ray across all the digital platforms. What do you say, Taylor? We play another one here from the album and kind of get the audience fired up again. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do one that's kind of, the opposite side of Home on the Road, more of a jazzy thing going on here. It's called Sink or Swim. I wrote this about a year before my partner and I split up. We were together for 6 years, and it's funny now because the song's called Sink or Swim. We obviously sank, but at the time I was hoping that we would swim. But it's almost like told the future a little bit without knowing that at the time of writing it. So this is called Sink or Swim.
Come on over, darling. It's sink or swim. Falling out and into love and out again. Sit down here, we'll find a way to make amends. If we don't, does that mean this is the end? So maybe I'll try a while longer. Maybe you'll try to stay. We're dreaming about getting stronger, but thinking of yesterday. It's been 5 years, I don't know what to say. I still learn something new about you every damn day. So honey, tell me why it is that we fall away. I will do my best to choose to love you anyway. So maybe you'll try a little harder. Maybe I'll try to stay. We're dreaming about getting stronger, but thinking of yesterday. Come on over, darling. I hope we swim.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
I just went and bought the album for a friend of mine. So there you go. You can do that too out there on digital platforms. Taylor Ray joining us here on the Backstage Pass, Mad 20s, and that is Sink or Swim, the fourth track off of that. So if you like that and then want more, as I wanted more, Jeff and I were just saying, wow, vocals, the runs, everything was amazing, just artistry. It's just she's got the total package here on the the show here, no doubt. Rest of the week we're off. Of course, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Happy holidays. And yeah, I guess if you like Black Friday shopping, go get it done. It's the week to do it here, no doubt. Pick out what you want. Go get some gifts, no doubt. Back here, Jeff McMahon, presented by Bangtail Whiskey, and of course, Hank Jr. Productions, and our good friends out there too as well at all the lands. So if you want to become a sponsor, you can do that. Contact us at the bottom of the screen. Love that song. It's amazing, like you said, how it came together. I tell you, the other one I loved off the record too was 525. Tell me about this and how this came together. I love that song.
Yeah, so 525 might be one of the more ambiguous ones on the album, but basically this was inspired by rediscovering your inner child, doing a lot of work with therapists at the time, and just kind of working on the self-love practice. And I found it easier to be nicer to the child version of myself in my head than my adult version. So I wrote this song. 525 means like finding age 5 in age 25. And that lyric is in the bridge. And the first couple verses, just go through that struggle. I think everyone has in their mid-20s of like, where am I going? What am I doing? Should I already be successful by now? Like, is it too late? And in the music industry, once you've put so much time and energy and money into your career at 25 and you still feel like you're really struggling, it's like, it's too late to go back now. Like, what am I going to do? There's kind of this sense of panic, but found it really important just to remember why I got into it in the first place. And I've been singing, since before I could talk. And so finding that kind of childlike joy in what I was doing could give me the motivation to keep going and just to like keep the faith, just hope for the best and trust that, everything will come together one way or the other. So yeah, this song has a lot going on content wise.
It does. And I'll tell you toward the end of the record too, Wait and See. Tell me about this one and kind of the backstory there.
Yeah, Wait and See is the newest one on the record. I wrote it just last year. 2020 was incredibly difficult, starting with the breakup and then obviously the pandemic. And Wait and See was written, end of last year. And it was kind of just a like surrender, white flag moment where, it's just like, I'm just tired and like, I don't have the energy to try and put my life back together or like be there for other people or try and get into new romantic relationships, even though I felt like I wanted to at the time. And I was like, I just need to take this time for myself. And we're just going to wait and see what's going to happen in 6 months to a year, how we're going to feel, like how the healing process is going. And so, it's just that moment of choosing yourself over distractions or things that will numb you from the healing process. So everything has worked out. I'm glad that I waited and kind of took that time for myself, for sure. Obviously, the record came out of it, and I wouldn't have been able to do that with any distractions. So,
love it.
Well, talk about, whether it's the record or your songs, your arrangements, and I haven't really kind of put my finger on exactly what I'm trying to say. So hopefully I'll hit something and you'll go, yes. I don't know if I feel like you have a lot of clarity creatively, or if you are very intentional, or both. But whether it's your lyrics, your arrangements, the visuals in the video for Fixer Upper, it seems like so much of what you do creatively, this is there for a reason. This is not there also for a reason. You seem very purposeful in creating what you choose to create. Yes.
Thank you. I would say yes, because I'm mindful about just staying true to who I am. But I would actually say there's less of like the control aspect of it. Everything just kind of happened organically because I was like staying true to what I was doing. And so, creatively, like with the arrangements, I kind of just just winged it, honestly, you know, and because I had so much trust that that this was the perfect moment to make this record. And even with the music video Fixer Upper, like all those things just happened to come together. And I would say everyone on the team was like, whoa, this is way better than what we thought it was going to be, just with the natural circumstances. Yeah, creatively, I feel like the way I write songs, I wouldn't call myself a professional songwriter. Like people in Nashville who get into a room and can create an amazing song with a team of people that they've never met in one day and come up with the title and all this stuff, like that is mind-blowing to me. Like a skill that I just don't have. My songwriting definitely feels like more of a message that I'm just the vessel for. Like I just kind of tap into this moment and let it flow. A lot of the times I'll go with whatever idea comes first. I kind of like to write from a place of my subconscious. And so whatever melody just like naturally comes out, I try and keep, you know, the end product true to that, as well as the lyrics. So I don't know, but I really appreciate it. I'm glad it seems super intentional. And, you know, I'm specific about the brand and like the message that I'm trying to send, and definitely the aesthetics. And I love all of that. But for this project in particular, it has come pretty organically.
Well, and I think, you know, you talked about flow, and I wonder, you know, when you think about things flowing, you know, things become challenging and cluttered when you try to make them flow a certain way, as opposed to kind of letting them go. And that was kind of what I was thinking about Fixer Upper. I'm watching you guys playing, and you're playing in that completely empty room, and there's just, you know, I think 4 players at least visually. And that looks like what your music so often sounds like. And maybe it's because you're all in the same room and the guys can eyeball each other and they know not to play because he's getting ready to do something. Maybe that's why that flows that way, but it just feels very clear. It feels like you really know who you are and what you're trying to create. And I just dig it. I think it's cool.
Thank you. That's awesome. It has so much to do with the team of people. I feel like if you know you're working with really awesome people, awesome creatives, then you're going to get a good result. So that's where the trust is for sure.
Yeah, I feel that way every day. That's why the best team member we have is the middle of the screen right there, Taylor. You can say he's one of the best guys to have on my team. And I'm not afraid to admit that too, because your team, you're only as good as your team, man. And like I said, it's no weak links. We don't need that. And that's why we're where we're at right now for the show, thanks to the man in the middle. Remember that? It was a song. It was a country song. Yeah, it was, man in the middle too. So there you go. He'll probably know that one. Time to get into a little rapid fire here on the Backstage Pass. And like I said, we'll do another a couple more shows. We may have a surprise this week or two coming in too as well. But definitely going to take the time to enjoy the holidays and get back at it November 29th. So this is kind of the fun part, Taylor. We get to have a little fun, getting to know you more on a personal basis. So I call it rapid fire, but it does take some thought sometimes. So it may not just come out as quick as it is.
Okay.
But pretty easy questions if it does come out, and you can, whatever first comes to mind, put it out there.
Okay.
All right, a contestant on any game show, and you're going to go on any game show out there. You could be a contestant. What are you picking?
Wheel of Fortune.
That's 2 or 3 we've gotten, Jeff, on Wheel of Fortune. I would pick that too. That's just one of my favorites. I grew up watching it with my grandma, so that was one of the ones we have to every night, 6:30.
You know, like I do it just to be Anna.
All right, holiday plans, Thanksgiving. Where are you spending it? You staying in Texas? You traveling? What's kind of on the Thanksgiving menu?
Staying in Texas. My whole family moved out here from California too over the last few years. And so I'm super grateful for that. My mom is full-blooded Italian, so the food is always the best. I think, we take Thanksgiving more seriously than Christmas. Christmas, we kind of just chill, like really chill. But Thanksgiving, it's an all-out feast. So very excited for that this week.
Like all the regular stuff was on the menu, the drinks, everything is kind of pretty much just routine. Is there any surprises?
She switches it up every year, and every like traditional dish for Thanksgiving has a little bit of a twist to it. So the stuffing is more like Italian. It's like an artichoke brie, sun-dried tomato stuffing, you know. My dad's in charge of the turkey, and he deep fries the turkey now the past couple years. And wow, highly recommend. highly recommend.
Are you in charge of the fire extinguisher just in case?
Yeah. Yeah. You have one on deck. You got to make sure the turkey is completely defrosted before putting it in there. That's the
Yeah.
Gotta love that too. Of course, happy holidays to everybody out there. All right, favorite movies growing up. What were they?
growing up. Disney for sure. Hercules is the first one that comes to mind. I loved Monsters Inc. growing up. And then I got really into kind of chick flicks, like coming up with the holidays. Some of my favorite movies in high school were The Holiday with Cameron Diaz and then The Family Stone with Diane Keaton and like all those other amazing actors. Those are my favorite. Now I'm more into movies. Like I love Tarantino. Reservoir Dogs is probably my number one favorite movie. And it has been for the last 5 years. Yeah. Yeah.
I know for us, Jeff, it's got to be Christmas with the Cranks. That's always a good one too with Tim Allen. And Home Alone, the first two Home Alones, you can't go wrong with Macaulay Culkin just doing his thing out there. So
well, and there's the irony of this lovely musician before us, and her favorite movie is where they cut the guy's ear off.
I know.
Well,
go figure.
I have a thing for Tarantino. Yeah, there's so many good ones.
He's good, no doubt. He is out there. All right, let's do this one. Bucket list vacation. If you could pick somewhere on the map to go to, and didn't have to actually, you could go there just leisurely. Didn't have to have a gig there. Where would you travel to? India
is on my radar right now. Yeah,
okay.
I think I'm gonna go for my 30th birthday in a couple years, hopefully if it allows. I've been to Italy, and that's my favorite place I've ever been. Obviously, I have like Italian blood in me. And I think I'm going to go there again next year too. So yeah, Europe always, but something a little more out of the box that has been in my mind for a few years is India.
Italian blood in me too. And I've never been over there, but definitely as my daughter gets older, we've got to travel to Europe and just see the beautiful side of Sicily and just go to Italy. Enjoy it.
Yes, definitely.
Which would be a good thing too as well. Well, I tell you what, happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. Be sure to check
I've got a question for her because I'm kind of curious. She's clearly such a music fan. And I think I know this answer, but so many things influence your music. So my question would be, you've been invited to perform Forgiveness on the Grammys and these are the three influences that I heard in that song, right or wrong. You can perform it with one of these three: Emmylou Harris, Stevie Nicks, or Bonnie Raitt.
Ooh. Oh no, Bonnie. I gotta go with Bonnie. Yeah, I love Stevie Nicks. That was a really hard choice. I love Emmylou too, but Bonnie's my girl. I went to her concert a few years ago, maybe like 5 years ago now, and I just cried the entire time.
Yeah.
She's just so good. Yeah, and she just keeps getting better. It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Bonnie is awesome. Yeah, so I would say Bonnie for sure.
Yeah. The legends always will be there, no doubt. Leave those timeless classics, no doubt. And Jeff, we've had a few of the legends on this show here on the Backstage Pass. Most recently, Jeff and I got to speak to Bonnie Tyler, which was a hell of an opportunity to talk to her on the show. If you missed that one, just go back in the archives. It's there. I tell you what is there is a great sound, a fresh sound, a new sound out of Texas that I am glad someone told me about, and definitely have gotten Mad 20s across all the digital platforms. Check her out and get the album Mad 20s and visit TaylorRayMusic.com. Taylor, happy holidays to you. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for coming on, sharing the music with us and the story, and continued success going forward. Hope you come back.
I really appreciate it, guys. Brandon and Jeff. Happy holidays.
You got it.
Too.
Again, thanks to all the sponsors out there: MitchMacs, St. Junior Productions, Bangtail Whiskey. Happy holidays. There'll maybe a couple of more surprises this week. Always stand by to the page. And, of course, just got this word, December 17th, country music artist David Nail is going to drop by here on the Backstage Pass. So be on the lookout for that one, too, as well. He had a big hit back in the day called Red Light. You might remember that, too. So we'll talk to David and also Michaela Phillips from American Idol's coming on here in about 2 weeks here. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk to you guys on the flip side. Happy holidays out there. We'll see you soon.